All right, welcome back, everybody. It's been a glorious NFL Week 16 as we anticipated it would be. It's always one of my favorite weeks of the NFL year, and that's because the NFL is very big on the numbers 53 and 16. Of course, there's a 53-yard wide field, a 53-man roster. 53 is the 16th prime number, one of the greatest players of all time. Joe Montana, number 16, went to that Catholic school, Notre Dame. And it's the Jesuits that run the NFL and the world of rigged pro sports and rigged college sports while we're at it. And again, the shape of the football. The spiritual name for it's the Vesica Pisces, which has Gematria 53. Gematria means geometry in language, and the Vesica Pisces, a very important shape in sacred geometry. But notice, the big story for ESPN's front page right now is Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow in Week 16. And remember, we've been telling you all along the way how tightly connected Joe Burrow is to number 16, Joe Montana, who defeated the Bengals in Super Bowl 16. Remember, in Gematria, Joe Montana equals 54. After Super Bowl 54 between his two teams, the Chiefs and the Niners. He wore 19 with the Chiefs, and of course, that was the 2019 season. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl. But right after that Super Bowl, Joe Burrow, who just won the college championship, was drafted by the Bengals with the number 1 overall pick, and that was in 2020, the year of Joe. Joe Rogan got the biggest contract ever in the history of talkers. Joe Biden won the rigged election like we told you he would. The biggest show of that year was Tiger King, where the guy's name was Joe. And, of course, Joe Burrow plays for the Bengal Tigers, the Cincinnati Bengals, where one of the nation's Jesuit universities is located. There's not that many, but one's right there in Cincinnati. And before we get into this week, I just want you to take a look at this article. Well, here, you know what? Before I even show you the article, let me show you my write-up for the Ravens-Bengals game. Conclusion. Even with the Ravens QB in question, I think Burrow has the riddle to win, getting to 6-6 at home versus the Bengals. Baltimore Ravens equals 66. Cincinnati equals 66. Remember, Joe Burrow has the strong connection to Joe Montana, and Montana was number 16. It's week 16, plus we got 16-date numerology. This is also the Bengals' 54th season, and all year we've been killing it with the Bengals and Joe Montana rituals. But I just want you to see what happened in the game. In the game, Joe Burrow set this passing record for the team and entered the all-time NFL history books for most yards in a game. And where did it go in the article? Hold on, where did it go? It's different. It's different than how it looked on my... Is this the same article that I just read on my cell phone? Hold on. They mentioned how he joined the ranks of Joe Montana this weekend. I was like, and it was on a pass to Joe Mixon. On a pass to Joe Mixon, he joins the record books with Joe Montana. Where did the game go? And how come when I do a Control F, it keeps bringing up this damn video? There we go. Okay, here's where it is in the article. In 2 wins over Baltimore this season, Burrow threw for a combined 941 passing yards. You know what's interesting about that? Baltimore is exactly like Notre Dame, where Joe Montana went, in terms of gematria. Baltimore equals 95 and 41, just like Notre Dame equals 95 and 41. That was Joe Montana's school. Burrow threw for a combined 941 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 interception after throwing for 416 yards against a much healthier version of the Ravens. Burrow had even more success against a Baltimore team decimated by injuries and battling a multitude of COVID-19 cases. With those numbers, Burrow becomes the first player to pass for 900 yards against a single team in a season in NFL history, according to ESPN Stats and Information. He breaks the previous record shared by Joe Montana and Dan Marino, right? And again, we've been talking about Joe Burrow and Joe Montana since before the Bengals even drafted him. You know? Again, these guys were born and bred for the league. It's all rigged every week. And here, let's just take it from the top. Let's go over the games this week. And for the trolls, again, I want you guys to pay attention because I know you guys must read at about a preschool reading level based on the comments you leave week after week. So I want to help you graduate to at least maybe like a second or third grade level. I think it'd make a world of difference for you. But okay, NFL Week 16, same stuff we do every week. We identify the numbers that go with the week. 136 is the 16th triangular number. That means if you had 1 through 16, it's 136. 53 is the 16th prime number. 16 has a square root of 4. So the numbers that are most likely going to show up are 53, which in this language is also records of 5 and 3, and plenty of 4 this weekend. So not every game had a 53 riddle, but a lot did. And just going through the games, we liked Cleveland to lose yesterday, to fall to 7-8 on the 78 date numerology, because in Gematria, Cleveland's 78. The Colts and the Cardinals game, again, like we talked about, Colts, Indianapolis Colts, and Arizona equal 105. There's a little concern there, but like I said, if I said I would choose the 105 riddle, meaning the underdog Colts prevail. And I was actually surprised that the Colts were the underdog in this game because they're playing a lot better right now than the Cardinals are. Remember, Bill Bidwell, the owner of the Cardinals, died October 2nd in 2019, 10-2. We said, watch, the Cardinals have a real special 102nd NFL season, which this year is. They were the first team to 10 wins. They got to 10-2, doing it against Chicago. The only two teams that are 102 years old this year are the Cardinals and the Bears, both originally from Chicago, where the NFL was born. But notice, the Cardinals have fallen apart since then. But they fell to 10-5 as expected. The Lions and the Falcons game, this was an iffy game. Some games are iffy. This is where the trolls get caught up. And again, you just have to identify if the game's iffy. If it's iffy, you got to be careful. The favorite Falcons can improve to 2-5 at home, which they did today. Falcons equals 25. The team that gave the 25, they gave up the 25-point lead on 2/5 in the 97th NFL season. 97's the 25th prime. They moved the touchback to 25. But the trick with this game was, had the Falcons lost, the Falcons would have been 6-9 overall, and Lions is 69. So things like that can be iffy. And again, that's what the trolls always say. They'll say, Zach picks both sides of every game, which is completely false. If I think a game's close, I specify why it's close. If I like a team, I say why I like a team. And then you'll see these retard trolls post in 5 seconds after every video saying, he just picks both sides of every game, which is completely false. And I got to assume that these guys are either retarded or just paid for liars. But anyway, this game close, and the Falcons, who were favorites, did prevail. Notice the Texans were a 9.5-point dog. The retard trolls will always say, Zach only picks favorites, which is completely false. We always look for good dogs, and we murder with dogs. I mean, we murder with dogs, college and pro. And I love the Texans today. I love the Texans today because Los Angeles, which equals 53, fell to 5-3 versus the Texans. The Texans got to 1-3 at home. The Texans got their 4th win of the season, and like the conclusion says, there is a lot that lines up for the 9.5-point underdog Texans. They would be tremendous value in a parlay. That said, they are 3-11, so don't go overboard. And I always write sentences like that because some weekends I got people calling and texting and emailing and saying, Zach, you know, people will go out and bet $5,000 on a game like this, and then they're crying to me when it doesn't come through. When I always say, you know, bet modestly. I always tell people, my favorite person in my community, the way he gambles, is Big Al. Big Al normally bets $25 parlays. If he's really filling a game, he might put $100 down on it. But Big Al consistently brings in $1,000, a couple $1,000. Some weekends he cleans house. I mean, there's been weekends he's made $10,000. But he does it with small, modest bets using the knowledge to parlay. You know, and that's what a lot of smart people do in the community. They don't bet a lot, but they make a lot. Like, had you parlayed today, you know, a bunch of these teams that not even a bunch. I mean, had you put $25 in there with the Texans and some of the other games that look like Lock City, your $25 is several $100s. That's the beauty of this knowledge. And then you'll see the trolls, they'll always make a video about me when we have a bad weekend. Had you taken Zach's advice this weekend, you would have lost so much money. And it's like, no, nobody should ever lose so much money on my advice. I advise to bet modestly and play smart and use the parlays in your favor and take games like this and rob your bookie. Now, the Buccaneers and Panthers game was Lock City. Lock City. Because look at all the 53 in this in Week 16. Like the conclusion says, I like the Bucs to get to 5-3 away and drop Cam Newton to 5-3 at home versus the Bucs in Week 16, where Carolina is 53 and 53 is the 16th prime. If that happens, Brady will also stay on 53 road losses. Again, this is how scripted the league is. Every year when Week 16 rolls around, there's all these 53s that'll line up. Keep in mind, Thursday Night Football, the 49ers fell to 5-3 away, so there's an early indicator that that'll be a good number this weekend. Again, this was posted on Friday, so, this is Friday's information. Now, the Giants and the Eagles game, another tricky game because Philadelphia Eagles is 87 in the most pure, which plays for the Eagles, but the Giants' favorite number is 25. The Eagles could fall to 2-5. So, this write-up. I said Philly doesn't deserve to be a 10-point favorite. They did cover that spread today, but again, I wouldn't advise betting on Philly as a 10-point favorite because they don't deserve it. I mean, they've been a completely unpredictable team. And I said, and that said, the Giants do have numbers to win. If the NFL wants to make a big impression with Jake Fromm, who got his debut today, this could be his weekend. Again, a small parlay with the Giants, and it would go a long way if the Giants prevailed. And that's why we talk about, a game like this, maybe a $5 bill, risk 5 on the Giants, try to turn it into 100. But again, you don't, with an unreliable Giants team, again, you don't put much on them. In this case, they didn't cover the spread, they lost. But again, this is what we preach in the live streams. Bet smart. If you're going to take, and realize, we had another 10-point favorite, the Texans, which we liked a ton. The Giants one, maybe. So anyway. But that's also the logic, right? If there's 4 games that are maybe-ish where one of them's probably going to come through, let's say you risked $5 on each of them, you risked $20 on these big if games, you only need one of those to hit because if it hits in your parlay, you're going to win $100. So it doesn't matter that you lost on the other ones. It's strategy. Okay. Jaguars, Jets. So in this game, notice if the Jets won, they were going to get their 4th win, and they were also going to get their 4th straight win at home versus the Jaguars. So here's my write-up for this one. Close call, not a lot to go off of. If the Jaguars do lose, expect them to lose the rest of the games this season and finish with their 15th loss versus the Colts. That's because 15 keeps popping up everywhere for the Colts this year. The biggest concern for the Jets this weekend is they could fall to 2-6 at home on the 26th. The best thing going for the Jags is Lawrence can get to 1-6 away on the 16-date numerology. If I had to pick, I would take the Jets to win the 4th straight at home versus the Jags because it is week 16, square root of 4. Plus they get that 4th win overall for the season, which they did today, The Bills and the Patriots. So notice New England's the favorite at home. And who did we like? I think the Bills get revenge in this game. By the way, last time the Patriots were underdogs, and we liked the Patriots to beat the Bills earlier this season, but this time we see the riddle. I think the Bills get revenge in this game and beat the Patriots, improving to 5-3 away in Week 16. Patriots equals 53, the 16th prime. That's exactly what happened. The biggest concern for the Bills is Allen could stay on 37 wins. Patriots equals 37. Then again, staying on numbers is never consistent. So again, who do we like? Again, I guess when the troll reads this, he thinks that we picked both teams. But it clearly says, I think the Bills get revenge in this game and improve to 5-3 away. The troll will be like, Zach picked both teams, and he never picks underdogs, when every week, I pick underdogs. And some weeks I pick too many underdogs because I'm looking at too much value. That's something that can happen to you when you gamble. You want to get that underdog because it pays so much, but you got to, you got to be reasonable. So you don't want to get the tunnel vision. Okay, the Rams and the Vikings. Now, earlier today when we were beautiful, glorious week, and right away, the troll posted in a second, Zach got the Vikings-Rams game wrong. Okay, here, let's see what I said for this game. The Vikings got the perfect home record with a win, Minnesota equals 52, and the Rams have the perfect road record with a loss, Los Angeles 53, the 16th prime, week 16. The biggest concern for the Vikings is if they lose, they get the 16th regular season loss and stay on 16 home wins versus the Rams on the 16-date numerology. And remember the hedge strategy. It's very helpful in games like this. So, again, when the troll gets on right away and says, Zach got the Rams-Vikings game wrong, realize I gave a good warning about, 53 is a good number. 52 is good in Minnesota, who hosted Super Bowl 52. But there's a lot of 16s there in Week 16. So, if you do take the Vikings, you would be smart to hedge with the Rams. And again, like what I teach people, let's say you're going to bet $10 on the Vikings. At least take $1 and put it on the Rams side and parlay the Rams with the games that look like a lock. Because if you stick the dollar with the Rams and 3 other teams that look golden for today, you'd only have to put one other game on there if you stuck the Texans with it. But that dollar will pay back your loss on the $10 bet on the Vikings, or possibly even make more than your $10 bet, so you might still come out ahead. See? Strategy, what we teach. I teach to be reasonable, not to be greedy, to play smart, to take intelligent, smart bets that have big payouts. And where you have tough riddles like this, if you're going to play the game, you better hedge. So notice, so anytime you read the trolls talking shit, just understand the trolls are always lying. Ravens and Bengals. Now, Cincinnati had good value. They were a slight favorite at home today. And again, I just felt really good about the Bengals. Like I had almost zero doubt about them. Light out all the Joe Montana stuff. Even with the Ravens QB in question, I think Burrow has the riddle to win, getting to 6. I didn't care who was going to start today. Could have been Lamar Jackson, could have been Huntley, didn't matter to me. Getting to 6-6, Baltimore Ravens 66, Cincinnati 66, in Jewish Gematria, NFL is 66, and that's because it's the 11th triangular number, and football is a game of 11 on 11, and that's why the first Super Bowl season was the 66 season. But again, remember, Joe Burrow has the strong connection to Joe Montana, and Montana was number 16. So again, this knowledge isn't just about gambling and winning money. It's about helping people see how rigged the league is. So again, what happens in this game? You know, he surpasses Joe Montana in the record books. And hold on, where's the Mixon part? Here it is right ever. However, Burrow trotted back onto the field with the knowledge he was shy of the 500-yard mark on a play when Bengals coach Zach Taylor instructed Burrow not to scramble. He instinctively fled the pocket and threw a deep ball to running back Joe Mixon. Isn't that nice? To pass Joe Montana, right? Joe Burrow to Joe Mixon to pass Joe Montana. I mean, this is why the announcers are always blurting out they couldn't have scripted it any better. And, I mean, it is possible that the trolls who are always here, I don't know why they would spend their whole lives, like, sitting on my Patreon pages talking shit and being always, like, the first to comment on every video. I mean, it really does seem like they're actually just trolls that are just trying to mislead everybody. But it is also possible that they're hardcore NFL fans, which means they're really fucking retarded, because that's what you have to be a hardcore NFL fan. Like, I'm just wondering who in Seattle is ever going to wear a Russell Wilson jersey again after today. Let me tell you about Russell Wilson's highlights today. First of all, he had a 3rd and 4 play where the receiver was literally right in front of him. He wasn't under any pressure. There was nobody guarding his receiver, and he throws the ball way over his head. How do you do that on 3rd and 4? Just fucking underhand toss the thing to him. First down, but instead he throws it over his head, so then they have to punt the ball away. Then, when the game is over, because the Seahawks, there was like 5 minutes left in the game, the Seahawks are at the 10-yard line of the Bears. You know, even if they don't convert, they have a chip shot field goal to go up 2 scores with no time left, hardly. What does Russell Wilson do? Russell Wilson sprints straight backwards and takes a 10 or 15-yard sack. The field goal kicker probably still should have made the field goal, but then he shanked it left. But he's not going to miss the field goal if you just stay at the fucking 10-yard line. Why would you sprint backwards 10 or 15 yards and take a sack? All you needed was a chip shot field goal and you won the game. God. Anyway, we'll get to that. But then on top of that, Russell Wilson was throwing balls in the dirt all day. The last pass of the game. I mean, the last pass of the game. How are you in the NFL and throw a ball that bad? And I know Russell Wilson has skills. There's no way you're in the NFL and throw a ball that bad. If you saw his last pass of the day, I mean, it was nowhere near the receiver, a mile off. I mean, the game's on the line. You got to give the guy a chance. Throws it way over his head, way down the field, not even close. And not only was it way over his head, it was way off the mark. It's just like, what the fuck, man? You're in the NFL? Again, I used to play quarterback. Never threw a ball that bad in my entire life, and never, ever, ever at any age missed a wide open receiver on 3rd and 4 right in front of you. God, way over his head on 3rd and 4, just like, it was worse than the Super Bowl 49 non-handoff for one of Brady's rigged Super Bowls. But anyway, I mean, you got to be so dumb to think the NFL is real. Okay, so the Bears and Seahawks game, this is my biggest fuck up of the day, and it's because I doubted the 53. This was the only game I doubted the 53 in, and the reason I doubted it is because it was right here. You see, it's identified here. Seahawks could fall to 5-3 at home versus the Bears all-time in Week 16, which they did, and they could also pick up their 8th loss all-time in the 19th game, 19 the 8th prime, and they did. And the reason I doubted it is because this stat category, which I keep track of every week, I like this stat category when it lines up with everything else. But I tend to fade this stat category if there's not really anything else in there. Something else I fucked up with this game is I didn't realize that Foles was starting. Foles started in his 56th regular season game today. And that's, of course, the magic number of the year, Super Bowl 56. But the 5-3 hit here. And so if you read my conclusion, I said, I like the Bears to fall to 2-6 away on the 26th in the 206 area code. I've seen a lot of 26 stuff in Seattle, so I was thinking, okay, maybe this is the game where the 53 pattern breaks. I said, I also like that Wilson can get his 103rd win 27 days after his birthday, because 103 is the 27th prime. And as bad as the Bears have looked, and I told Sweet Lady, when I saw him take the sack and then they missed, because they would have scored their 27th points. See, I was thinking when they're at the 10, I was like, perfect. Okay, this is perfect. They'll kick the field goal. They'll have 27 points. He'll get the 103rd win. But then he ran backwards, takes a huge loss and a sack, and I was like, why would he do that? I mean, how can you be paid? Let me see what Russell Wilson's contract is. Let me look it up real quick. Russell Wilson contract. Let me see. How much do they pay this guy to play football? Let me see. Russell Wilson signed a 4-year, $140 million extension. Okay, Washington equals 140. He plays in Washington State. Remember when Pete Carroll got his 140th all-time win on Washington's birthday, November 11th? I think it was Monday Night Football over the 49ers. But 4 divided by 140, that's $35 million a year. The guy gets paid $35 million a year to play football? And I mean, you got to know, it's like, man, if we kick a field goal here, we're up 2 scores with 5 minutes left. I mean, that's going to give us, about a 95% chance at least to win the game. So why the fuck would you run backwards when there's no reason to, and run way backwards, just sprint straight backwards and then take a sack? I mean, it's just like, what? On what planet is this the football decision? And this is already after just missing your wide open receiver on 3rd and 4. The Seahawks had about 50 opportunities to put this game away, and they blew all of them thanks to Russell Wilson. And the reason I hate Russell Wilson so much is because I'm up here in Washington State, and this guy's always on TV. He's always being interviewed. He's always doing the commercials. He's always talking about how he plays sports to inspire children and how he loves Jesus Christ. He's just the biggest fucking fraud there is. And I think he might be the biggest fraud out of every human being on the planet. I think he might be number 1 all time, which is saying a lot. There's a lot of scumbags in Seattle, but Russell Wilson, he might be a bigger scumbag than even Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos. I mean, these are some tough scumbags to beat, but I think Russell Wilson, because of just how fake and fraudulent he is, I think he's number 1 all time. I fucking hate the guy. But anyway. So, and I wrote, as bad as the Bears have looked, the Seahawks could pick up the 12th win versus Chicago, winning by 12. I thought they might do it because they could have got their 12th win today. They do a lot of 12 shit with the 12th man up here, so this didn't happen. So, anyway, and then I said, if you wanted to do a small hedge with the Bears, it would be because Seattle can fall to 5-3 at home versus the Bears in Week 16, which is what we did in every other game. And I guess I should have just done it here because then it would have been even more glorious. But, yeah, it's just because it was in the stat category where I don't care about it as much. It's great if it's in the record for the season. It's great if it's in the quarterback record. Those are where you really want to see it, and that's where it was for all the games that we did play, those numbers. But just the all-time head-to-head, it's a hit-and-miss category. It hit, though, today. It did hit with the 53 in Week 16. So, anyway. If that did happen, the Seahawks would also pick up their 8th all-time loss versus the Bears in the 19th meeting, 19 to 8th prime. And the reason I discount this 53 riddle is because the home and away records for all-time meetings are often hit and miss. So, again, I explain very clearly my reasoning. And then sometimes I'm really mad at myself in games like this. And I hate when Russell Wilson burns me more than anybody else because I fucking hate the guy. Especially in a game like today. It's just like, God. Oh, my God. I only saw the second half. I didn't see the first half of the game, but just unbelievable. Okay, Broncos-Raiders game. Guess what? You see right here. Check it out. The number I like the most this week is 53, and the Raiders can stay on 53 losses versus the Broncos in Week 16. So this was the only stat that really made sense in this game. So here I did use it. Here I used the all-time head-to-head because there wasn't really anything else to consider. The Raiders stayed on 53 regular season losses versus the Broncos, winning today. So And then I explained, there was a 5-3 thing that could go in the Broncos' favor, but like I said here, ultimately 53 is 53 and 5-3 is similar to 53, so I bank more on the 53. Again, just clear explanations. You got to be retarded not to understand my notes and to leave the comments trolls do. Raiders are a winner. And then Steelers and Chiefs, again, I love to see my man Mahomes just cruising right now because we all know what I said when Kobe died. Or if you don't, you better go back and look. But Chiefs got to 7-2 at home, Arrowhead Stadium 72. And the only game left on here is Sunday Night Football. And again, why don't you just go look at how many wins Dak's on heading into Sunday Night Football. So again, just 53 a monster every season when Week 16 rolls around. And that's the beauty of having this knowledge, too. The beauty of this knowledge is you see how they schedule the games. All of a sudden, the scheduling makes so much sense because of the way the rituals line up week after week after week after week. And it's because they got it all planned. They're going to pay tribute to 53 in Week 16. They do it every season. And again, that's why, what I teach is to learn your number relationships, which we go over every week. I'm the most redundant teacher there is. I teach the same thing consistently every week. And, most weeks we do very well, college and pro. We'll have some bad weeks here and there because some weeks it's like, you don't have like your prime number relationship, which hurts because that's always a really good indicator. And some weeks it just seems like the games are really tightly scripted. And again, I mean, this is work in progress. I've been doing this for 8 years now. You have a guy build your house who's built your house, who's been building houses for 8 years, will probably build you a pretty damn good house. You have a guy build your house who's been building houses for 40 years, he'll probably build you an even better house. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not stopping with doing this. And look, I mean, this is a spreading thing. How many people in the world now are doing the same thing as me? They've set up a similar model. They got their own Patreon page. They're doing their picks. Again, this is a spreading thing. And intelligent people are taking to this knowledge, and they're winning from it. And they're not crying about when they have a bad week. They're not like the trolls who are showcasing, oh, Zach had a bad week 15. It's just like, what kind of fucking loser's doing that? Yeah, let's talk about how we did through almost every damn week this year up to Week 15. Plus, between college and pro, we murdered college again, as we do. There was one week this year where the college and the NFL were both really mediocre. There were some weeks where like NFL wasn't as good as others, but we dominated college. It's been winning. So imagine being the guy who doesn't say anything about all the winning, but then rushes out and uploads a video saying I'm a fraud because I had one bad week. Obviously, who's the real fraud is the person who did that. And again, my track record, if you guys are new here and just finding out about this, that's not my fault. And by the way, for the first 5 years that I was here where I was even better at this, it's weird that in the first 5 years I did even better than I did now. And I think that's because people are picking up onto this and there's more people using this and it's spread. The last time I went down to Vegas, when I went up to place my bet, the guy at the window said, "Holy shit, say truth seeker." And then he went and told everybody, he's like, "Look, Zach Hubbard's here." And I was like, fuck. He's like, "Dude, people know you down here, man." I was like, well, I guess that makes sense. But the point is, people are learning about this knowledge, It's spreading. So I think that's part of the reason it's not quite, it was better years ago. We had a higher winning percentage years ago. But it doesn't, it's still, this is the way they're scripting games. This is what they're doing. And by the way, in the Los Angeles, Minnesota game, did you see how many points were scored today? 53. But again, this is the knowledge that they use to script their leagues, perform their rituals, and when you have the knowledge, it gives you a major edge. Like, how many people do you think won big today on the Texans game? A lot of people won huge today because of the Texans because they parlayed it with the solid 53s. And, they made a field day. When you have a 10-point underdog that hits on the money line in a parlay with other good picks, that is a lot. That's a huge multiplication value. Okay? And that's why the jackass who uploaded the video last week about how much money you would have lost last week, it's just a bullshit analysis because never do I say go out and lay a huge amount on a 12-point favorite. It's just, again, you guys, Notice every time I post a video, the trolls are spamming the same thing. He only picks favorites. He picks both sides of every game, and it's false. I mean, that's never true any week. I always specify what games I like, where I think you should definitely hedge if you're going to play the game, and sometimes I'll just say leave the game alone. Like, there's just nothing really to go off of. So, I didn't write anything like that this week, but some weeks, if there's a game where I'm just looking at it, I'm just like, I don't see what they're doing here. I'll just say leave this game alone. I don't see a single thing. So, anyway, learn your numbers, you guys. Learn your numbers. Next week's NFL Week 17. So what would you do? The triangular number next week is 153. If there's 153 that pops up in a game, that would be an interesting number next week in Week 17. Let me think. Why can I not think of the 17th prime number right? 59. 59 is the 17th prime number. So next week, 59. You'll have to keep an eye on 59 next week. And 17 is the 7th prime number. In Week 7 this year, we dominate. Week 7 was one of our best weeks this year. Week 7, there was a lot of 17s on the board. 17's the 7th prime. And again, some numbers are better than others. Like the word Mason is 17. Their logo is a capital G. G is the 7th letter. American football is credited to Masonry. Modern Freemasonry began in 1717. So, again, you got to know your number relationships. You got to take the time. You got to go through. And again, it takes a long time to go through this. Add up all the records, home and away, QBs, coaches. You got to do this. I mean, you got to put in the time. It takes work. So, but that's the beauty of signing up for the Patreon, Pay $5 a month, save you hours and hours per month. So, I mean, again, there's just the trolls who say I'm a fraud. I only charge $5. And again, show me anyone in the last 8 years that has a better record in sports gambling. Futures, just nailing games on the daily. Show me anyone in the world who's done better in futures. You're not going to find that person. They don't exist, But it's not just that. You're learning knowledge. And again, $5 a month. If you had to do this every week for 4 or 5 weeks, NFL weeks, how many hours do you think you would spend? Is that not worth $5 in itself just to have somebody compile all the data for you? And realize there's people in my community, who will look and they'll decide. Like, I'm sure there's plenty of people today that said, you know what? I'm not going to take the Seahawks. I'm just going to go with, like you said, 53 is the number this week. I'm going with the Bears and 53. And I wish I had done that, But, I'm not shocked the Bears won. I did advise hedge. So, anyway, trolls either can't read or they are just trolls just here to, distort and lie and falsify and do all the things that trolls do. But, again, the good news is there'll be an NFL Week 16 next year, and I guarantee you it's going to be just as glorious because every year it's just one of my favorite weeks, NFL Week 16. They're just two... Again, it's just like Super Bowl 53. Remember, we had that one right before the season began. Patriots over Los Angeles. Patriots equals 53, Los Angeles 53. Remember how many points were scored in that Super Bowl? 16. The score was 13-3. Patriots win with 13 while Tom Brady's 41. 41's the 13th prime. Super Bowl equals 41. LA's 13 forwards, 41 in reverse. And speaking of those numbers, 41-13, Today, the Texans became 1-3 at home versus Los Angeles all time. 1-3 at home, and how many points did they score today? Where's that game at? They scored 41, didn't they? L.A. L's the 12th letter, A's the first, 13, but when you run the alphabetic order in reverse, L becomes the 15th letter, A becomes the 26th, because it's in reverse. It's the last letter now. 15 plus 26, 41. Kobe Bryant, 41. His daughter, 13, right? 41-13, dead in L.A. 41 plus 13 is 54. The weekend before Super Bowl 54, the Joe Montana Bowl, And don't forget, Kobe Bryant in reverse is 157. He died on his 157th day, being 41 years old. But, yeah. And it's like I told you guys for free earlier this year. I said, don't discount the Chiefs just because they have them off to a slow start. I said a lot of people are going to write off the Chiefs. This is exactly what they did with the Bucs last year. This is what they did with the Patriots the year of Super Bowl 53. Again, when you pay attention, you see how the NFL is very gimmicky. How they'll have a favorite just start off terribly so that people stop betting on them. Oh, shit. But then all of a sudden they catch fire and they dominate. And Chiefs got to 7-2 at home. Arrowhead Stadium. Ben Roethlisberger, I think he picked up his 54th road loss today against the quarterback who won Super Bowl 54. So, anyway. We'll leave it there for today. Congrats to all the winners. Should have been a glorious day for everybody. And see if we can get one more 53 in this day of 53s, because there's a big one on the board for Sunday Night Football. Till next time.